Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Navigating Modern Dating, episode 4. All right, let's kick it off. Bad Bunny, Super Bowl halftime. No, I'm kidding. We're not going to do that stupid shit here. Guys, welcome back. This is me and my co-host TC. Always great to have him here on the channel. A guy that's probably forgotten more about dating than I'll ever learn in my whole life. So love having him on the show and being sort of a side not a sidekick, but the other half of the coin. So hope you guys enjoy this show. Keep showing up, keep watching, subscribe, like the video, everything like that. So we got a couple things we want to talk about tonight. I like having the lady shows on Monday because it gives good ammo for us to talk about and do kind of like a debrief and look at some of the stuff we talked about on the Monday show, on the Tuesday show. And it's unfettered without women like yapping and interrupting and going on these really long soliloquies and tangents like they like to do. So I think what came up last night, one of the first things we talked about is accountability. And so when we talk about accountability, it's like this internet meme, like women accountability, women dodge accountability, like Neo dodges bullets, or it's like women and accountability go together like milk and oil or whatever it is. And my stance has always been, and I've talked about this ad nauseum, where I think that the closer we can get to our biological imperatives, the better. Like that's how society's always pushed forward. That's always we've got the most successful civilization, human civilization in the history of the world. Things are better now than they've ever been, at least technologically, and the ease of information and all these other things. And so women have never had to be accountable. They've never been expected to be held accountable. And it's like a survival mechanism. I have no problem with that. I'm the guy just saying, yeah, water is wet, sun's hot. Like that's just the way that it is. But it seems that this is now being framed as a negative thing. It's kind of the only thing in a way. I don't know if you could make the argument that this is you're sort of placing like the masculine imperative onto women because like men have always been expected to take about accountability. But when I said, hey, women, you can't take accountability and that's okay, all three women on the panel last night were just like, no, like that woman's not mature or she's just not an adult. She's not a grown up. I'm like, no, she's literally just a woman. Like, why are you guys trying to put your masculine feminist traits like onto these women? Like, why can't we just be okay with what women are and what men are? And so my stance that I kind of brought up was like, look, I do think that on an individualized basis, if you're in a relationship with a woman, I think you can get her to start taking accountability. I think the reason women don't want to take accountability is because of the monkey brain that says, if I make a mistake, if I fuck up, if I do something that jeopardizes the tribe or the camp or causes us to lose resources or people to get killed, I'm going to get killed. And I don't want to do that. So it's a complete survival thing. Now, that doesn't necessarily really have the same implications now. And there are definitely serious and egregious things that women can do to jeopardize the relationship. There's obviously lines in the sand, but I think men can do a good job, or they can set up the relationship in a way where she's encouraged to take responsibility, to take accountability. That actually is what solves problems, and it doesn't turn into a finger pointing and a blame game. But you said something I thought was really interesting. And so, I want you to go into that a little bit because I hadn't thought about this before. And this kind of goes in what we're going to talk about a little bit about, delegating tasks to women and not just letting them be these, dumb children that we have to always tell them what to do. So, for the people that didn't watch last night or just, want to learn a little more about your stance on this, like accountability and women, like how do they go together in your world?
Yeah, I mean, when we start these shows, you always like drop this opener on me that's like, I want to go 5 different directions at once from it. And for guys watching, sorry if I'm clearing my throat and dropping some words here. Whatever's going around, I've got it. Losing my voice a bit. Yeah, it's like, obviously, like imagine there's 2 tribes back in the day, right? And tribe number 1, like the women are like, oh, I want to help and do watch at night. And the men are like, fuck no. Like it's not happening because like when you fall asleep, we're going to fucking die. And I can't even get mad at you anyways, because I shouldn't have let you do it to begin with. And then tribe number 2 is like, oh yeah, like you could do watch, like you go, and then like they all get killed. So it's like, this is ultimately women in accountability. And in modernity, we have women that are being given and also asking for and taking a lot of responsibility and a lot of authority. And with that comes accountability for the decisions you make, right? Like you're in charge, you're responsible. Whatever happens is your fault. And like extreme ownership is hard enough for men.
Totally.
Right? It's hard enough for men to take extreme ownership. So that's like, I think like the prescription for men is don't put responsibility on your women. And like, I've found that a lot of modern men are kind of almost like, I view them as like covert feminists, right? Where they're like, oh, she should be accountable. Like, no, she's a fucking woman, dude. Like, she's not, she's like, she never should have been responsible for this in the first place. Like that, like, oh, but she's a grown ass adult. No, like, you're like a grown adult is not like, I always make this joke that like the idea of spouse is like feminist propaganda. Like, this is a feminist creation, right? Because men and women are different, right? So there's like, it's not adults, it's men and women, right? She's a grown adult, like she should be able to handle. No, like they're grown men and they're grown women. They're very different, like how they operate. What else on your intro do we need to dive into?
Well, so let's real quick, like to that point, right? Because I think the distinction that you made last night, where I think it's okay because there's the black, it's black and white, or there's two levels of the extremes. It's don't give them any responsibility at all is over here, and then make them responsible. They're like a grown adult is over here. And I think that what you were saying last night is like, you're kind of here where it's like, it's perfectly fine to task her with things. It's perfectly fine to give her direction that ultimately is going to make hopefully your life easier, which makes the relationship better. But you're not putting anything in her hands that if she colossally messes it up, that it would tank the relationship. It's like being in any leadership position. Like let's like an aside really quick. It's like, if I've got a member of the brotherhood that wants to come to me and he wants to put on an event, cool, that's fine. But it's going to be something that you're going to kind of do, and it's going to be something that doesn't interfere with the event that I already have planned, or you're not going to take over the event that I do that we're on like the third or fourth year. Like, you're not running our Algonquin trip. Okay. Like, it's too important. It's too, high stakes for somebody that just isn't equipped to handle this, at least right now, that I wouldn't put that level of responsibility in somebody's hands that hasn't earned it and proved it over a long period of time, that they stand to that it's a benefit to me. It's just too much risk. So like, how does that play out in the relationship in the same way?
Yeah. So if a man wants to enter into a relationship where he is the boss, right? Like he is the leader and his wife, his woman is his follower, is his subordinate, whatever you want to call it, right? Like a boss that runs a business, even if you have a really good employee, like you need to, like, you can trust, but verify. All right. So as soon as the boss like stops paying attention, right, it's basically like the captain of the ship gets lazy, right? And then like these things happen and they don't get verified, and then they keep happening and they get worse and worse and worse. And all of a sudden, like the mast has rotted halfway up to the top. So it's like, if you run a company, which like, being an entrepreneur, being a boss, being a business owner, like the way you interact with your employees to an extent is how I believe a man should act to an extent, right, with his woman and his children. So if you don't trust but verify, like, what is the relationship that you want, right? Do you want a partnership where you can trust and don't have to verify, right? If you want that, like go be in there's lots of women that are down for that type of situation, right? Like that's what most modern women, like to have a relationship like the ones that I like to engage in, where like, I am the boss, I am the leader. Like not a lot of modern women want to be in something like that to begin with. So like, if you want to trust and don't have to verify, there's tons of women that are going to line up for this type of relationship. Like you don't have the battle to fight to find a woman that will surrender or submit.
But how's that going to work long term, right? Like that can't. I mean, that's really like that can't possibly be a relationship that's going to last any sort of time, like on a long enough timeline. Like she's going to get sick of being the captain. I mean, it's just is not her natural like biological imperatives going to take over, right? Like at one point, is she going to just say like, she's mad at the guy for taking a nap? Like, I mean, I don't know. I think this is the different. I think this is women saying they want that and they like are cool with that and they want to have that. But are we really like? I'm not seeing that as much. Like I'm seeing women that are saying they'd like to be a power couple. Like they want somebody that's bringing something to the table as much as them, or the same amount of money, or the same amount of effort, or same amount of hard work. But I haven't found a lot of women that are like, yeah, I'm cool with being the breadwinner and the leader. And maybe that's not what you're meaning, but I mean, I don't know. Is that kind of where you're going with it?
Yeah, and I don't think that's a good formula for a relationship between a man and a woman to begin with. But this whole idea of like women need to take accountability. It's like, so you want a woman that you can trust and don't have to verify. Like she's going to self-correct and you don't have to correct her. Right? So like if that's what you want, you're not looking to be the head of household or the leader in the relationship, right? Like you're actually what you're actually looking for is a partner. And I think,
which is short-sighted.
Like, yeah, and if it's such a complex thing. Like there's so many different threads in this thing. Like obviously, like a woman complaining on social media about all her boyfriends, her exes were narcissists and manipulative. Like we can joke around, like women are allergic to accountability, right? Like it's not going to change. Like no amount of any input from anybody. Like on the show last night, like we know the answers we're going to get. And we're trying to show guys,
right,
kind of the code here, right? With ladies night or with the female POV. And so like I kind of opened it, right? Like I'm not bitching when I went down this thread of ladies, don't you think it's interesting that? And like kind of showed this what in their logic would be a double standard, right? But like I have no problem with this is the way that it is.
Yeah, we've always said
the way that it is.
Yeah, we've always said that. Like we are just concerned with the way things are. We have no dog in the fight on how things should be when it comes to this stuff, especially when we're talking about like natural biological imperatives that have been deeply ingrained for hundreds of thousands of years. Like, what are we thinking we're going to change here on like one call? No, I mean, and I think that was something we did a good job of last night. And it's like, they weren't super combative over it. I mean, there was some pushback, but I think we just planted some ideas. I mean, I think the thing that I thought really got them over the line and just thinking about maybe not over the line, because, I tend to go on these tangents and I know how it goes, but this idea of, when a guy is unhappy in a relationship, nobody cares. He has to be getting like stabbed or like the shit beat out of him by a woman and be threatened and blackmailed for anyone to finally be like, all right, dude, maybe she is the problem. But all he has to do, or all she has to do, is say, yeah, he like watches the TV too loud when I'm trying to read on the couch. And they're like, divorce. That's it. Like, saddle up and find a new one. So yeah, and that's the point. We're trying to show, guys though, like this is how the female brain works. And if you've watched one episode, you've watched every episode. And so it's like, how many examples do we have to continue? It's always funny because people are like, where do you find these girls? I'm like, what are you talking about? They're women, man. Like we find them all over the world in different professions, in different areas and time zones, different ages, different walks of life, different races, different religions. Like we are running the gambit here. So this idea that we're somehow selectively picking out women that don't take accountability or can't look at things through anything but their own personal experience. It's just like, no. How many examples do we have to show you guys that this is how they are on like a macro level? So stop being mad about it and start using it to your advantage.
Yeah. And this is, at the end of the day, like with extreme ownership, this is the way of the world, right? Like if a man is in a sexless marriage, it's not the chick he's with's fault. It's his fucking fault. Like, to say it's her fault is to say that he doesn't have control over his own life. And maybe he doesn't, right? And that's the issue. So like the serious side of me won't entertain this idea at all that like it's a woman's fucking fault. But like on the show, it's fun to it. And this is like how I deal with women that I'm involved with. Like in this process of molding them is, you know, I'll like present that exact thing that I kind of presented on the show last night, right? It's like every man you know, like think about all the men that you've known that have been cheated on and the women around or like people's around them's reaction to it, right? And it's like overwhelmingly, oh, he must not have been attentive enough to her needs. Right?
Every time.
But and then I tell them, imagine a guy cheated on his wife and everyone around was saying that's her fault. It would be crazy town. Like this never
unfathomable.
happens.
Yeah, they can't even imagine a scenario where that would be the case. It's just mind-blowing to them.
Yeah, so and I like use things like this in molding the women that are in my life, to show them like show them the code, right? Like what they're trying to do to us and what they're trying to do to like the family, to like women submitting to men, to like traditional relationships, right?
Because you saw them struggle really mightily when it came to, and this wasn't last night, but this was something else about like, would you tell your girlfriend that she's getting fat? Would you hold her accountable? And it's all about how you say it, but yeah, even last night, it was, you know, I wouldn't do that. I would hear him out or I would try to listen to him. And it's like, yeah, of course you would. Like, we know you're one of the good ones, right? Like, oh, okay, that's all right. We'll pat you on the back. But I think that, yeah, it is really interesting. And it's because this is why, and let's be clear too. They don't even realize they're doing it. It's not a conscious thing. It's subconscious. And so when we say things like, yeah, you as a guy need to be very careful about who you, and I'm going to say it for all you people out there, they're going to, oh, massage, who you allow your woman to hang out with, who you allow her to listen to, the types of places you allow her to go, the social media that you allow her to use. And people say, oh, it's you allow. It's like, look, I dictate the terms of my relationship or relationships, and that means I allow or don't allow certain things. And if that doesn't align with what she wants, bye, there's the door. Like, that's just it. But yes, and when you allow women to go out with girlfriends or have these girls around them, and things may happen, and and willpower is weak. This is something that came up. I did one of those godforsaken stereo shows again the other day, and I'm really mad at myself for doing it. But the whole like club thing pops up, and it's the same stuff every time. Like insecurity, you don't trust, things like that. And you need to trust your woman, trust your willpower is only so strong in people in general. Like you put an alcoholic in a bar, he's going to drink. Like you hand a junkie a spoon, he's going to spike up. I mean, there's no reason to try and test something that's already like willpower is already weak, like product of your environment. You're going to be influenced by people consciously and a lot of the time subconsciously. And so that's why we do the things we do. And that's why we say the things we say in the way that we say it, because it's like, no, you will be influenced by these people, whether they mean to do it or not. It's not that when we talk about the way women in relationships like to be the best one or the top of the hierarchy, so they don't care if their girlfriends necessarily get into relationships as long as their relationship isn't better than theirs. But that's all subconscious, right? They want to be the happy one. They want to be like the power couple of the social group. Same thing for single women. If they see other single women in the social group that are getting into relationships and getting attention and they're not getting it, then subconsciously they will maybe try to do things to sabotage those relationships, maybe even consciously, but I think it's more subconscious. So it's like, it's not your fault. We're just treating every gun like it's loaded. And I think that's something that gets lost so much, where we have to wear a sign that says, that's okay. And that's okay. It's not a big deal. We've accepted it. every time you say something, they're like, stop complaining. Oh, poor men. It's like, we're not even saying poor men. We're saying this is how the world is and this is how reality is. And this is how you adjust and use it to your advantage as best you can. So, I mean, yeah, that's exactly why we do what we do and say how we say it. Cool. Anything to
Yeah,
add
I mean,
there?
I don't have a ton to add there.
Right on.
Yeah, it's like,
But they
you
see
know,
it. Like your
you
women see that. Like you brought them to this light, at least in a way, and they go, okay, like that makes sense. Or they're starting to see it on their own, or they see it on their own now, maybe that they haven't before.
yeah, and it's a very small percent of women in the West. And I think like the more liberal of a place you live, like the bigger of a city you live in, the less rural you are, like the worse it is, the worse the percentage is. But it's a very small percentage of women are even able to be led, like will surrender into their natural feminine state. Um, and like, there's a lot of tells. Um, that you can see, and this is kind of like what some of my calls are in the academy and the brotherhood is like this early vetting process, like making a framework to put a large number of women through extremely early on, so you can see which ones are the ones that have the potential to maybe once they have GBD be led. But it's like, um, I mean, it's got to be like of the women that would sleep with a man, it's got to be like 1 in 100 max in modernity. Like it's a very small number. And then guys also have this issue where, like, let's say there's 100 women here. Where are we? There's 100 women that would allow them into bed with them, right? Then like this top percent here, these are the ones that will not be led. Like these are the ones that, like you're reaching into their SMV. And guys are always choosing these ones. They're like, oh, I like her the most. Oh, she's the hottest, whatever. And I'm like, no, you must choose the one that is the most like compliant, the one that's the most into you, not the other way around. So even a lot of guys that like understand the numbers game and like the battle, and this only really matters if you're trying to have kids anyways, but the battle that us men in the West and in modernity are fighting with this numbers game, like they choose the wrong percentage of it anyways. Like they're thinking with the wrong head, right? They're like, oh, she's so hot, she's so sexy. And a lot of guys are even like, usually it's the women that you like pass over on first look, because those are the ones that are 2 points down SMV wise. Like those are the ones for whom you will be their hypergamous best. And those are the ones that are going to be led. So it's like the only, like every woman has a guy that she will break all the fucking rules for, right? And your job as a man is to find those women for whom you're that guy. And the rest of the women are just like exploratory prospects. And then like
Yeah.
they're going to show you something that shows you you're not that guy, and then you move on to the next. And like back in the day, we used to be able to do this with like courting, right? Like dating back in the day, right? Like didn't involve sex and situationships and all the stuff that it involves now, but now it does. So like most guys that are like, if they're on their 10th girl they've been in bed with, like they probably are gonna get fucking bamboozled. Like there's no way they've had enough reps to be able to identify a woman that's into them and also make like intelligent decisions in the screening process.
So he needs to have way more experience. Like you need to have just dating multiple women a lot. You need to be, because that's something you talk to the guys. There's still, even when we have guys come in on the early stages, whether it's the brotherhood, the academy, it seems like this idea, like one of the things that's really, really beaten into men's heads is this idea of, I'm a one woman man. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to date multiple women. That's sneaky or slimy or snaky or sleazy or whatever. So where does that, I mean, that's conditioning, right? But like, what are some of the things that you some techniques or the things that you kind of get these guys to change their mindset around that, where they're very much like, whatever the excuse is, it's how I was raised, it's a religious thing, it's just, that's not what a good man does. Like whatever the dumb shit they're saying towards you goes.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you can do that and then you just lose. So like the rules of the game. So it's like imagine you're an amazing chess player, right? And you show up at a chess tournament and you have to sign a waiver upon entering that those who lose will be killed. Okay. So imagine the scenario, right? This is your life at stake, essentially. Or like you sign, like the buy-in is your whole bank account or 60% of it, whatever you're going to lose in a divorce, right?
Yeah.
And when you sit down for the first game, the organizers are like, hey, check it out. The pieces are going to move differently, and here's how they're going to move. So there's two guys, right? There's one guy that's going to get pissed the fuck off. He's like, this isn't what I signed up for. These aren't the rules 10 years ago were better. This is a bunch of bullshit. And then there's a guy that's going to say, interesting. And he's going to learn the new rules and play better and win. So you can either flip the fucking table over and forfeit whatever your buy-in was, or you can just play by the new rules and win, right? Now, if everybody at the tournament is getting ready to bum rush the organizers, join in, go crazy, right? But we're not at that point right now. So.
Right. We're not there yet. So we may have talked about this before, but I think it's important to hash it over again. Like there seems to be this kind of, I don't know where this came from, and maybe it's a prevailing sentiment that I've read or heard about the last maybe month or two, where it's like, and maybe it's a bell curve, but somebody said it's like the more attractive the women are, the lower their notch count, body count, whatever you want to call it is. Because women can get guys to move mountains if they're really, really good looking and attractive, and they really don't have to do much. They really get by on their beauty. So a lot of guys have this sort of misconception that like really good looking women and really beautiful women they just like ran through women, which is generally not the case. But besides the point, if these women that guys are shooting down for, let's say like 2 points down, like these threes, fours, probably not getting more than fives, most guys, probably like twos, threes, fours. If their biggest way to compete is by giving sex and is running up like a high notch count, if that's the way they're going to compete because they can't compete on the surface, what implications does that have to those guys that maybe, like if you're saying, hey, I'd shoot down, but these women are actually more quote unquote, and I don't like to use this term, but just for the argument's sake, these women that you're telling me to go for are like quote unquote more ran through than the women that I actually want. So like, what am I supposed to do?
There's a few things here. So, basically, regardless, I think, and obviously there's like the 1,000 cock stare or whatever, but outside of some like very promiscuous women that often have red flags literally like visible on them, like you can see the red flags, like 10 piercings, neck tattoo, all this kind of shit, blue hair, the hair is like shaved on one side, like all this
right.
shit. Most like plain Jane, average type women, whatever, I don't think their body count matters that much. As long as once you sleep with them, like you can tell and they express they've never had it like that before, right? Like you blew their fucking mind in the bedroom. I think like, she's been with 3 guys or she's been with 10. Like the difference between those, like if she's been with 3 guys, but one of them's better in the bedroom than you're fucked. Like it doesn't matter that she's only been with 3 guys. You're screwed. If she's been with 10 and you're like 5 times better than the best, right? Like she's yours. That's like the most important singular aspect, I think, is blowing her mind in the bedroom. So then there's also this issue of, especially with very attractive women, like their hypergamous best doesn't have to be a real man, right?
True.
And I've seen this with women that have dated, like women that aren't super promiscuous, but they've dated like one, two, three here and there, really, really attractive guys. So a woman's hypergamous best is like that which none greater can be conceived, right? So like this doesn't have to be a real man. It can be like a man she thinks exists.
A fictional
So if
character
she,
she reads in a book or sees in a movie or just whoever she can think
well,
of in
so
her head.
not even that. So, like, if a woman has a low body count because she's super hot and she's just curbed tons of guys and they still give her attention, she's got like some doctor trying to fly her out, paying her rent. She's got like an NFL athlete in her DMs. Her last boyfriend was like a pro bodybuilder. You know, like she had a relationship in college with a guy that was like two sleeves, chest and back, neck tattoos, selling coke on campus. Her hypergamous best is some like ultimate amalgamation of all of these men. So
Right.
like the only guy she's ever gonna actually surrender to or submit to, like, will never exist.
Doesn't exist.
And so it's like then, you know, you're like 7 or an 8 out of 10. Like there's no universe in which this woman acts right for like a long-term relationship, family, raising children the way you believe they should be raised, etc. Now, if you just want to like have them on the boat and have fun in the summer, like, yeah, you might be able to score.
Go nuts.
Great. Right. But I caution guys on that a little bit too, because this is going to be a fucking hot take. I think like guys who exercise too many very, very attractive options, they start getting like this porn brain thing going on where like the old reliable that's like a 5 or a 6, you're not that into her because you have like you can only get off with extremely attractive women. And I've coached guys that have had this going on. I had this going on myself. It's like once they stop only shooting up SMV and spend like a year or two, like one, not consuming any porn. And then 2, like dating more like regular and average women than like only smoke shows. Like this kind of fixes itself, I've found. So I think guys need to be careful with that too. Like you're going to be like a guy that watches tons of porn. Like if you only bang 9s and 10s for 5 years and like you meet a nice woman that's kind of a plain Jane, like you're not going to be into her and it's going to be problematic.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I don't know how many guys are really going to have that problem. I mean, it's so few and far between. Like almost every guy is the complete opposite, where it's like, it's just, they're just not even in the same, on the same planet as these guys. But I get what you're saying. Yeah. And if guys have taken care of themselves, I think that can be the allure, especially from guys that really build themselves. So guys that didn't get women in high school or college or whatever and have found success and have really climbed the ascent of that SMV ladder, you know, in their late 20s, early 30s, even in their 40s, right? Because we talked about on a previous show, like every single year, the world's sexiest man is like some gray hair, you know, silver fox, maybe not silver fox, but like salt and pepper guy that's like 42, 44 or whatever. And yeah, I mean, I totally buy what you're saying. Makes sense.
Yeah, there's
cool.
This is going to be very very misogynistic of me, but there's something about women. So I have like 3 categories of women essentially, and I think men fall into the same 3 type of categories where like I don't use 7 in my 1 through 10 rating. So you have like unattractive women, you have average women, and then you have attractive women. So attractive women are like 8, 9, and 10, right? And then like average women are like 4, 5, and 6, and then unattractive women are 1, 2, and 3. And men fall into the same category, I think, the same kind of rating. I have not met many women that are attractive, so 8, 9, and 10, that like have the stuff to be feminine and be led and surrender to a man at all. So I'm like maybe a little like black pilled on this topic in particular, where it's like, and I think there's some exceptions like ugly ducklings, like girls that were not super attractive, super cute when they were young, didn't get showered with attention when they were young, and then like kind of got attractive in their 20s. But like, just think if you, for your whole life, like no one ever disagreed with you because you were beautiful. Like every guy you ever interacted with, and like, you know, it's problematic and it's not normal, but even like a 16-year-old girl in high school, like the teachers are going to treat her differently if she's super hot. Like this is just the way it is, right? Like the people at church, the other parents,
but they won't ever
at
say
church,
that though, right? Like really, like, and this is also part of the problem. Like as a quick aside, we know it's because they're really attractive, but women love to they love to think it's because they're super bright or super funny or super smart or super witty, or like the universe is they're manifesting these energies in the universe, and they're just like, I see that stuff all the time on Instagram. Women are just like, good things just happen for me. Like I just manifest things and they happen. It's like they happen because there's people behind the scenes that are doing all these things for you because you're hot. Like you're not particularly interesting. You're not particularly, deep. You're just a hot girl that goes through life. But most people will not be honest with you and tell you that. So it even goes one step further. Women don't like to admit that. When you point that out, they will yell at you because they know, right? They know that they haven't earned it. They know that if I say, hey, you're getting all these things because you're attractive, they know that they haven't earned all of these things, that they're just given it because they exist. And they won't own up to it, which is okay. But in any case, continue. Yeah. But going through your whole life, just being given things and never being told no just because you're good looking. I mean, yeah, what incentive do they have to act right?
Yeah, I think it starts at a young age too. Like even 12, 13, 14-year-old girls, like
when they start hitting puberty,
when they're being bitches in school, like the other girls aren't going to call them on it. The boys in their class aren't going to call them on it. They're going to take their side versus like an unattractive, like the fat girl that's being a bitch in school. Like the other girls are going to tear her ass apart. Right. Yeah. So like, and we'll go back to this idea from the beginning of the show of lack of accountability, right? This like pretty privilege that like beautiful women have. I think like the real issue is when it like the impact when they're young. And I think like back in the day, like we probably had this to an extent, but like strong fathers that didn't do this princess shit that we get nowadays, probably helped, like mitigate this issue. But I think when, like a young girl's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and like all her peers and even the adults treat her like she can act with fucking impunity because she's beautiful, because she's cute or whatever. I think in that developmental phase of your brain, there's like almost no going back from it. And we see this with all other types of things too, right? Like the men that are most likely to beat the shit out of their wives are the men whose dads beat the shit out of their moms, right? And like they saw this grow. This was their experience when their brains were developing, right? So this is like it's hard to undo this, right? So that's kind of my theory is like, and then with women that are still really beautiful, like even if you are on the level of her hypergamous best, it's like a hypergamous best, I think, is like 2 or 3 points above a woman's SMV. So if a woman's like an 8 or a 9, like her hypergamous best can't exist. Right. So
she's not out there.
Even if you're like, there's going to be another guy who can provide her with as ridiculous of a lifestyle as you can, but is also going to be a little bit more of a fucking simp.
Yeah.
Right. There's not going to be like a plain Jane who's going to like ordinarily date, like, the manager of a restaurant, right? Like she's a bartender, average woman. And like for her, the status is like dating the general manager of the sports bar, right? Like when a guy that's a millionaire comes into her life, this is a hypergamous best situation, right? But a woman that has 150,000 followers on Instagram, like there's almost no like guy that exists for her anymore that like satisfies this hypergamous best. So yeah, I think there's like this really weird thing going on at the top end of like all the attractive women. And I think we see this. Like when attractive women hit the wall, oh boy, is it something to witness, man. Like when this whole thing that this house of cards they've lived their life under comes crumbling down, man, it's fucking rough. But then you meet women that were like plain Jane, they got married at 25, they have 4 or 5 kids, they work full time, and they're like pleasant, they treat their husband decently, like I think it's when you and I think there's other threads too, like I think inflating like this lifestyle and materialism shit really negatively impacts women, and like the more attractive women are not gonna like be struggling and working because there is a guy out there that will allow her not to work, right? So I think there's all sorts of shit that go into that too. Like if you hire a nanny and buy her a G-Wagon, right? And she's like a stay-at-home mom, but then the kids are at school, and when they're at home, there's a nanny and she's driving a fucking G-Wagon, and she's like going to the spa, get her nails done. Like she can't possibly be a good woman. Like you're not creating an environment for her that will make her have to be a good woman. And then like if she's attractive enough and you don't, some fucking simp doctor will.
Some guy will. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super interesting stuff.
The simp doctor is only going to do it for like an 8. Right. So if your girl's a 5, ain't no simp doctor
not
coming
happening
around.
Yeah. Super insightful stuff, man. I totally buy what you're saying. Guys, if you want to call in and have questions, I dropped the link in the chat. We'll get started maybe, around 9-ish or so. It's about quarter till. So if you got questions, you want to come hang out in the back while we hammer through some of this stuff, and then we'll get calling. So I know there was at least one. We'd love to hear from you guys, man. Guys, girls alike. This is if you got questions on this, I'm sure for a lot of you guys, you've never heard stuff like this before. Maybe you've got follow-ups. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think we're full of shit. We want to hear from you guys regardless. So we'd love to get some call-ins. It doesn't necessarily have to be on this kind of stuff. It can be on just dating in general. Obviously, we want to keep it aligned with that. But I want to pivot maybe a little bit of maybe the last, before we get to some call-ins, the last 20 or so minutes that we have here. We kind of talked about this a little before the show, and maybe we'll come back to the women getting bored part. But there was a conversation last night around again, like we were talking about, we touched on this a little bit about how men, if they talk about their problems, like no one's listening, like suck it up, be a man. And there was this idea, Amelia, God bless her, said, a couple of times, men don't speak up or men won't speak up. And I did a little short on this today, and my rebuttal to that, it's like, I don't think it's that men won't speak up. I think it's that there's fewer and fewer men for them to talk to. I think that we live in a society now that has completely shamed any sort of space that is all male, that is not inclusive to women. And until this is going to keep happening, until men start telling women to like, fuck off, this isn't about you. Like, I'm going to go hang out with my friends, or I'm going to consult my guys that have been through this and that are going through this. I don't need you for this. I don't want you for this. And I said, it's amazing because what women will do is they'll just do the exact thing that you're telling them they do in your comment section. I'll post it on TikTok, and it's just like, it's all women. It's like, you guys can't help yourselves. I'm sitting here saying women can't help but insert themselves in male to male conversations, and hear all you women yelling at me, like making it about you. It's not about you. But the panelists kind of did that. And so we kind of asked her, I said, listen, okay, what about your husband? Who are his close male friends? And she's like, my dad, my brothers, my family members. I'm like, this guy doesn't have anybody on his own. So what happens if you guys get a divorce, or somebody cheats on you, or you guys have a fight? Is he going to go to your dad and say, hey man, Bill, daughter's being a bitch. Better. What do I do? Like, or your brother, it's like, where your family's allegiance is going to be to you. And so I'm the one that thinks it's necessary to have guy friends outside of that, because as I've said last night, and I've said before, when guys get zeroed out, like the number one thing they realize is they look around and they're like, I have no guy friends. I have nothing. I've poured everything into this relationship. It's just been me and my wife, me and the old ball and chain, like me and my happy life over here. And I've spent all my time trying to save my marriage or pour everything into this marriage or relationship while completely forgoing other relationships. But you had an interesting take on that before the show. So I'd love to hear you go into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, before I go into that, like maybe exception to the rule type of
Sure.
situation, like we've all, I think most men have been in this situation at some point in their life. I think for a lot of guys, it's like what brought them to the self-improvement content to begin with. Because like if you have like guys will like integrate their friend group and like all their friends' girls and like their girlfriends' friends and like all their husbands into like this friend group, right? And then it's like when things inevitably go south, right? Like whatever percent
As
of
most of them
marriages,
do.
yeah, whatever
Most.
percent of marriages don't work, it's 10 times more for non-marriages, right?
Yeah.
Then like everyone's picking sides. And most people pick the woman's side. And then like even so like you're like what used to be your guy friends, their girlfriends have now become close friends with your girlfriend. So like if they're not men that lead their relationship, if they're like your average, American
Everyday
man,
guy.
right?
Yeah.
Like their chick is going to be like, oh, well, you should stop talking to him because he did this and that and that. So like
And
you're
we're
going
on
to have
Team
what
Sarah.
used to be your guy friends. They're like, oh, I can't hang out with you. It's like, it's so bad. So yeah, like I think should not mix friends groups. Like you should have your guys. You should try to form a relationship with them that's as close to brothers as you can. And like, even like the women, like, so if you have a group of 5 guys, like, I don't even like all of the girlfriends hanging out and becoming their own friend group, right? Because then there's like these threads that persist if a relationship doesn't work out. And ultimately, my belief is like when a relationship doesn't work out, what that is a woman is unwilling to submit to a man. That's why a relationship doesn't work out. So then you have like your friend's girl or wife is now buddy with your ex, which is a chick that would not submit to you. It's like, no, you're not hanging out with her. She fucked over Joe, right? So I think the only time there's like an exception to that is if the like wives or girlfriends of your friends, of your brothers, like you all have children and that's part of their network of women that they lean on in raising the children. But I mean, even then you end up with the same problems, but it's like, we have a bigger problem to solve here, which is raising these fucking children.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, real quick, a couple of examples that kind of come to mind. And like one, I mean, these are bad examples because one's anecdotal and one's from a movie, but like my own personal anecdotal experience. Now, like when I was with my previous, my ex, the chick that I guess you could say that started my whole journey, yeah, that's how it kind of was. We were together in COVID in New York, and she started meeting all of these girls online through like Facebook's groups, and they were having Zooms because you couldn't get drinks or anything like that. And so when we started hanging out, I was just hanging out with her girlfriend's boyfriends. And we never got that close. I mean, we wouldn't really hang out one-on-one. We wouldn't get together and hang with the guys, but they came over all the time and we had conversations and stuff like that. And then, when things broke up, like I never heard from a single one of those guys ever again. Like all immediately unfollowed me on Instagram. Like that was it. Not that I ever tried to reach out to any of those guys because I knew where their loyalty and allegiance already lie. And I'm glad that you said that because that's a huge part where most guys, woman is running their show. So that's why. And when you said, well, most people take the woman's side, I'm glad you went back and said that. It's because if the woman is leading the relationship, she's going to side with the other woman. She's going to side with the sisterhood. And then you are, as a man, are going to be yanked along with her. Conversely, it made me think of there's a scene in Goodfellas where, Karen, Henry Hill's wife, is talking about meeting the family for the first time, and everybody is, named, all the women are named Marie, but they're sitting around and they're like powdering their nose and they're talking about this and that and the other, but the kids are around and they're helping with the child rearing. But every single one of those women are just talking about how much they love their husbands, or how much their guy is the man, or he's the leader, or if I ever did anything stupid, he'd kill me, that kind of thing. So it's like they all had this such respect and reverence for the patriarch in the household that there's just no room for any, for any BS to kind of find its way and to create this sort of in group within the in group. And the final thing I'll say, it's like, I had a friend group in college that I'm still okay with some of them now, not as much, but after graduation, they were all from kind of the same area of DC. And it was just super. I would drive back down through New York, and I would stop in DC during like Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays and stuff, just to say hi. And maybe they'd be having a get together, and it's just, they're all dating each other. It's this weird, like, multiple people have dated multiple people, and there's exes, and these people are hooking up, and it's just this mishmash of just, and there's so much drama, and it's like, your buddy is making out with your ex-girlfriend or whatever, and you're watching like the girl you like it's just so gross and weird. So yeah, I think that's a super interesting dynamic that doesn't get talked about, enough. I think that it's the popular sentiment is like, just bring everybody together, like one big friend group, but we see how it almost never works out that way. Like, have your own friends, like have your own life, because if push comes to shove and they're going to choose sides, it's not going to be yours, dude.
I can't imagine. It's like, it's so fucking disgusting to me that, like, how can a man be so desperate for some pussy that he's like one, you have like the sloppy seconds aspect of it, right? Like,
Right.
how can you not feel like a fucking clown? First of all, right?
The jester meme, like dancing for the queen, right? Like,
yeah. And then, like,
yeah.
Second of all, the clown, like, you being the clown aside, it's like, this is a guy that's supposed to be your friend, your brother, and this woman that wouldn't submit to him. You're like, oh, well, let me see if what kind of, I don't know. It's like, back in the day, these were fighting words, it's like,
yeah, I agree. I mean, dude, I remember I had old friends of mine that when my ex and I broke up, and we broke up terribly, it wasn't a good breakup, and it was bad, like most are. There's still, like, I had a buddy that I completely cut off because somebody was like, yo, your buddy, fuck it, I'll say his name, but your buddy Mike is liking her Instagram posts. And this was a guy that I had spoken to about the breakup, one of the few guys that I still talk to after it was over. And it's like, dude, how are you? You're now, what are you trying to swoop in now that you know that she's single? It was just so crazy. And people were like, no, dude, you're nuts. It's not that big a deal. And it's like, listen, man, no man on the planet is liking a girl's Instagram picture that he doesn't want to sleep with. Like, that's just not a thing. So yeah, it was, or best friends of mine that were still following her months, if not years after the breakup. And it's like, how in the world do you not see this? It's like, you know her through me. She's not your friend. She's your buddy's girlfriend. Now she's your buddy's ex-girlfriend, which means she has no association with you whatsoever. It's just the weirdest thing. But people act like this stuff's normal, and they act like you're crazy for having some sort of boundary when you're like, when all throughout the history of the world, this stuff, you used to be like, all right, man, we're going to fight. Like, you're basically swooping in on the chick that stomped on my heart. We're going to fight, right? Like, it's just crazy.
Well, and that's like, for like the average guy, there's no better choice you can make in like your march forward for self-improvement than like cutting all the fucking dead weight out of your life. Totally. And like, if you ever had a guy you were friends with that was like trying to be friends with the chick you were dating, just fucking cut him off immediately. Like, I don't care, you've been friends with this guy for 10 years, what it is, like, and I dealt with this, man. I dealt with this growing up. There's a guy in my friend group growing up that dated like 5 of my fucking exes, man. It was like he was and I found out later, like the 4th or 5th one or some shit, right? That like while I was dating her, he'd be like messaging her, like trying to be friends, right? And then like
planting seeds.
So I saw like number 4 or 5, like what it looked like while I was dating her. I got like a sneak peek behind the curtain into this, right? So I saw like probably all of them he was trying to set up this way, right? It's like he has no options except like girls that guys he knows are pulling into his orbit, right? And he's going to try to get his tendrils in. And you know, it's like it's a sneaky fucker, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
and
that's all it is.
There's a scientific term for this mating strategy. It's called kleptogeny, right? So it's like fucking polygyny and monogamy, but with kleptomania, dude.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgusting. It's like, and we've seen that stuff. Like we've seen that happen with guys that, you know, we've associated in the past and we no longer do. So it's just, yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, if you have to explain it, it's the guy's already a lost cause. So, but that's, you know, I was talking again, that's why we say, you know, I wouldn't want to be around a guy. I wouldn't want to have a guy in my circle that can't get women. Like being able to be charismatic and get attractive women to like you or get your own women is almost like it's a requirement, because if you can't get them and if they're going to like, you're going to latch on to the only ones in your orbit. And if we're somehow socially connected, that means probably the girl I'm dating or seeing might be around once or twice every now and then. And if that's the only time you like get the scent of a woman, you're going to do everything you can to try to insert yourself. So yeah, truly, truly disgusting behavior. Cool. I know that Steve's been waiting behind the scenes here. I know he's had a couple of questions for us, so we'll bring him up on stage. Steve, what's happening, brother?
How you going, bud?
Good, man. It's late where you are, brother.
Yeah, it's very late. I'm just going to bring
You're smoking a cigar inside?
Yeah, of course.
All right on.
We smoke.
What do you got?
You don't smoke cigars inside?
Well, I'm out of my house.
What are we on? Fucking rations.
What do you got today, bro?
You know, I love you both, and yeah, I'm going to call out some questions for you both, brother. All right,
so let it rip.
You've been doing a good job, and I love you both, by the way. So I'll just share that before I carry on. But what I wanted to get to know, I want to get to know a little bit deeper, because it's a dating podcast.
Okay.
All right. So what I wanted to get into was, and I'm looking down here. I'm not ignoring you. I'm looking down here because I've got the questions here. All right, and I've written them down. I'm prepared. And
just let the first one rip. Let's hear it.
Fortune favors the prepared mind. Right. So
it also favors brevity.
Agreed. If you got that, then you got that. But hopefully some of the people got that. So, all right, list the best entries for situations on coming up to girls. Right, so it's a dating show. So, if you're going to approach a girl, what is the best entry? One first on a social circle. How are you going to approach that? Let's go. Let's go TC first. So, you're going to approach a girl on a someone you like, social circle, say you work with them, I guess, social circle. How would you approach that?
So what are you asking, like what's the best opener?
Yeah. You've met a girl, you like her, you got the chemistry, right? She might be named Emily, and you got the chemistry. How are you going to go and approach that?
Well, you said say you work with her. I will not dabble my worm in that pond. Seeing how that ends poorly too many times. But I think
I've done it several times, and it ends up pretty fun, to be honest.
Well, yeah, it's fun until it's not, right? It's fun until you like aren't able to make appropriate business decisions anymore, because like you could have something happen. But yeah, I think a lot of guys like really overcomplicate cold approach. And like, I think if you don't have a natural conversation situationally, like that you can enter into with a woman. So like, if you're just approaching some chick that's shopping at Walmart, like just walking up to her and saying like, hey, my name's Chris. Like that something
this-
as simple
this
as
is
that
cold
opens
approach.
the door.
I'll stop you there, Chris, because this is cold approach, and that was going to be my next question. I'm saying social circle because I was going to go cold approach third.
Yeah, so I mean, this is gonna depend like a lot on what
say
the
you're.
situation
Say,
is.
I'll go because I've done it in the recent weeks. So say you have chemistry. Her name's Emily, and you're like, all right, we're getting on. She's like, oh, I'm getting on. I'm like, oh, maybe we'll catch a drink. I would say no, maybe not. Maybe when are you free to get together? Tell me your number now, right? And then I'd start linking her up after that, right?
Yeah. So what are you asking? What you should say to her?
So I'm saying social circle. How would you approach that? So the three questions are: one, social circle. Yeah, how do you approach that?
What does that look like? Like, where are we?
Where are we?
Like, are we in a
We're-
club?
we're at
Are we on a boat? Are we like is this like a family reunion?
We're not on a
Like,
boat at social
where am I?
circle, are we? Well, what circles are you rolling in? I'm rolling in different
So
circles.
Yeah,
is
there's
this
not
like
lot
a
of women
friend?
at the-
for the general public.
So this
For the
is
general
like
public.
you're
Let's
part of a
imagine.
you're part of a
Let's
friend
imagine.
group. You're part of a friend group, and then there's a girl within the friend group that you want to ask out. Is that what you're saying? Because that's what
Exactly.
social circle is to me. So it's like
or at work. Let's say at work. So you're at work.
Yeah, at work.
but we
Yeah, work's not
wouldn't
great,
do that.
but-
How are you
I wouldn't do
gonna
that
approach
either.
that? At work, first of all, how
Well,
are
I
you going
think
to?
It's like saying
The
if you're going to
social
stick your dick in a toaster, how's the best way to do it? Like there just isn't one. Like just don't do
That's
it.
pretty true.
I mean,
That's
what,
pretty true.
yeah. So it's
It's
like
going to end badly.
you know, there's no good way to do it. There's a bad way to do it. I mean,
How
you
are
can have
you
it
gonna
turned on and everything. I mean, I guess the best way to do it. So anyway, I mean, look, like
Completely
I
agree.
think maybe what you're trying to get here, Steve, is like, is there a best way to approach or to ask? Is there a best? Is social circle better than dating apps, or dating apps better than cold approach? Is there a best way? I don't personally think there is. I think it has to do with. I think there's a lot of variables. I think logistics play a huge role. I think your natural charisma plays a huge role. Guys that are busy and that don't live in or do anything mostly social that often, or that are busy guys, should rely on dating apps, you know, for the most part. Guys that have a lot of free time, or maybe that travel frequently, or their job or work requires them to be out and about quite a bit, might do well with cold approach if they're very social.
What I
If
was
it's
asking-
social, okay, I'm off the
sorry to
path,
stop
I
you
guess.
there, Chris. But what I was asking was if you were to approach in social circle, one, what would be the best way you would go about it? And then I'll go on to the second two.
I just-
so-
If you were to, it's an if.
right. So like, there's like 1,000 scenarios you could be in that are gonna, because like, what you want to do is like you want to decide what is your goal, right? Is your goal like to
Get the
start
date,
a
right?
conversation and like get her number or Instagram and then like take her out on Friday? Or is your
Exactly.
goal like
For
to
the
take
wider
her
audience,
from where
'cause
you
I know what
are?
I'd do. Go on.
Yeah, so like your goal might be to take her from where you are back to your place. So just like two very different conversations you're going to have, two very different like sniff tests you're going to be doing essentially with these chicks. I can't remember the last time I've seen a woman like that I could do social circle game on, because like I hang out with only dudes, right? Like I don't have any mixed friend groups. Like
It's a better question for
nothing.
Spencer, to be honest.
Sure, yeah. And I respect for that, because you're building and for Marv, building the biggest fucking network ever, right? So respect for that.
But I think like
Okay.
a lot of it, like you want to express that your time is valuable and that you're not desperate, like you're not thirsty, right? And so I think one of the directions this is going nowadays is like have an Instagram that doesn't suck and just have a regular conversation with her as if she was any other guy at the event, at the party, whatever, and then get her Instagram and then go talk to another chick.
True.
Like
That's
I have no
that's a
desire.
great- Yeah,
Like
because
if
you get her
I'm
jealous. You get her jealous. She's like, oh, he was paying me attention, but now he's just fucked off, sort of thing.
yeah, like if I'm somewhere, I'm there with an intention, and the intention is not to pick up chicks, typically. So
Sure.
like I'm not gonna not like if I'm at a networking event or like a business event, right? Like I'm not trying to pick up chicks there. Like I'm there for a more important reason. So like I'll get her Instagram and then go back to doing what I'm doing. Now, if she comes back around, right? And
Mhm.
if she's like looking at I might come back over, right? And see if I can close, like, hey, are you staying here? Right. Um, whatever doors that opens. But yeah, I think
That's a good answer. Just fucking ignore them and basically get their Instagram and fuck off. And I think that's probably the best answer. And then link them up tomorrow or maybe a couple of days later.
yeah,
Yeah, a
And
lot of it is
let them see you wander. That's what I do anyway. So
well,
that's pretty much the same answer that I would do. So that's good. So let's go on to the second one. All right. So on dating apps, and I know Chris is probably an expert on this one. How do you approach on dating apps then for the wider audience if they're gonna? I know you like your Hey Trouble.
yeah, and we need we need in the comments and in
need
the
something
chat.
else.
Yeah, we need the consensus on Hey Trouble, because Hey Trouble was working great a year ago. But I think it's become so
What do you mean a year
wide.
ago?
I think it's become so widely used that like I've seen, and a lot of guys I've talked to have seen like diminishing
Okay.
results from Hey Trouble.
Kind of
But I
you're
need to
getting
find
called
out.
out.
Yeah, I need
They're
to
like, oh, you're
find
like the
out if
fifth
that's
guy this week that has said that same thing to me. Like it seems like it's kind of run its course.
Has it actually? It's done. Everyone's saying Hey Trouble.
Anyway, go ahead, TC.
yeah. So, like your dating apps could also be like you should have a framework essentially. Like this is what I like doing, and you're gonna move women towards that. And like the biggest issue I think guys have on dating apps is, and guys even have this with cold approach too, like talking about like getting their Instagram. Like you shouldn't be getting their Instagram to then like DM them and try to set something up. You should get their Instagram, you post stories, and the ones
Sure.
that like your stories, you then message them, right? So it's like, I'm not interested in closing on this chick that followed me back on Instagram. I want to close on the one that's DMing me heart eyes every time I post a story, because that's the one that's
Agreed.
really into me, not the one that I really want to close with. So I think dating apps are kind of similar. It's like you want to build this framework of, and the openers like Hey Trouble is the goat, but we do need some new openers. We need
Yeah,
guys that
we'll
are
work on
doing
that.
now. So
Crowdsourcing.
for
I reckon
me,
TC can
like
work on that.
I'm looking for women to have children with in a polygynous setting, right? So my opener is, how many children do you want to have and how soon? Question mark. Right? And like this makes a lot of women reply, because they're like, what the fuck is this?
Who's this guy?
Right? They're used to like, hey,
Dude,
how's your day?
the fuck is this guy?
But like that's also problematic too, because like it does
Sure.
instill a huge reply, but then like I have women that are less interested also replying, because like the reply rate's too high. So this is something a lot of guys I think struggle with dating apps, because like if you don't have the volume of likes coming in or matches coming in, you can't build a framework to like screen out the low interest chicks, because you don't have enough to develop a framework with.
Sure. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
think like if you're getting less than like I think you should be getting, including hogs and ogres and all this stuff, you should be getting like 10 likes a day. And if you're not getting 10 likes a day, like your profile sucks too much to get the numbers out of the app that you need.
And then it goes back to the brotherhood where you have to work with like Spencer, get your pictures sorted, and why you should start to join, right? So
It's part of it. I mean, yeah, but like I think what we're just trying to get at is like there's multiple ways to skin a cat, but yeah, I mean developing a framework is the thing that guys tend to miss, because guys think that guys are looking for like the next best line, or they're like, they change things up woman to woman depending on what she looks like or how attracted they are to her, when for the most part guys should be spending time doing as much of what works and discarding what doesn't work as possible. But to TC's point, without reps and without enough volume coming in, you just won't know. You've got to do something 100 times, and it's like, okay, out of that 100 times, what worked more than that's all pickup was at the beginning. That's all pickup was and is.
Agreed.
It's just guys that are
Agreed.
swapping notes
Absolutely.
that are like, all right, I'm going to try this, and this. This worked 60% of the time. This worked 20% of the time. This worked 5% of the time. Now I'm going to go back out and swap out those bottom two. I'm going to try this and see if we have better results and things like that. So, but yeah, I tend to like, I don't think much should be done on dating apps anyway. I think the Instagram is, I've done a presentation on this. I've beaten on this drum forever. I think Instagram is the best dating app in the world. I think that I think the reason I think guys make big mistakes on Instagram. One, they don't know how to build it. They don't know how to curate it. They don't know how, to make it look, or how to actually have an interesting enough life where they are able to post things that are worthy of posting. And two, they fundamentally don't understand that women's signals are far more covert than they are overt. So like, guys are like, oh, well, if she's interested, she should DM me. It's like, dude, the most you're going to get is like a heart on your story, maybe a comment. One of the things that I've seen is like, if a woman adds you as and this might not, I don't know, like some guys have had guys will text me like, hey, this girl added me to her close friend's story, which if you guys don't know what that is, you can set a story setting on your Instagram where, well, it's not, it's where if a woman is she'll put certain
I mean, in the general sense.
So women will put people into a certain category that she wants to show this story to. And usually it's like close girlfriends or guys that she's interested in. So it's like, I'm like, hey man, if a girl adds you to her little close story, she wants you to see stuff that only like her close people are seeing, or that's literally a green light, like shoot your shot, whatever that might be. So, but yeah, like get your Instagram game on point, and it's a lot of work in the front end, but it'll pay dividends in the back end.
I have one more question then on the back of that.
Fire away.
So we did social circle, we did dating apps, cold approach. How would you approach that? Because that has worked somewhat for me in the past. So how would you approach that cold approach? Let's go TC.
Yeah, so there's two ways you can do cold approach. One takes a lot more reps, which is like once you become someone that can talk to anybody, and so like you're in this spot if a random man can be walking past you in the grocery store and you can strike up a conversation with him. If you're not in that spot yet, you should literally just open with, "Hey, my name is Chris," or whatever, right? And then you kind of just try your best to have a conversation from there. And then at some point, ask for a number, ask for an Instagram, or ask for like an instant date. Now, once you can do cold approach, like you can talk to anybody, then you can do stuff like I'll be like walking in Walmart and I'm super tall, and there'll be some girl that's like 5'2", stocking like some shit that's kind of high up, right? And I'll walk by and be like, "Hey, you need some help with that?" Right. And they'll look over like, "Oh, this fucking guy." So
is that your go-to then? It's like, oh, she's reaching for something high. She's hot.
Well, so that's like an example.
I agree with that. It's something like anything like that. Like she picked up a couple of, say, a couple of fruits, and we're like, "Oh, what are you juicing fruits? Or what are you doing with so many fruits?"
Well, yeah. So like,
it's just the intro. It's the intro.
She's got like 20 potatoes in her cart, right? And she's walking towards you, and you're like, "Oh, she's cute. I want to get her number." Right? You can be like, "Hey, what's going on? Like, is the whole family coming from Ireland? What's the deal?"
That's a great one. That's a great one. Yeah.
So it's like, but you're only gonna get this from like reps, like just talking to tons and tons of people. So until guys get there, just like brute forcing your way, like cold approach is also a numbers game. So just brute forcing your way through it. Like, and it's good to have someone like pushing you to do it. Like we have a coaching program. We've got guys in, and this is something we have some of them do is like rejection therapy. Essentially, like you must talk to 3 girls a day in public. but all you can do is like fumble your way through it as you get better. And the easiest way is, hey, you just walk up to him, hey, my name's Chris. And then
I
you
completely
try to
agree.
get him to a phone number or a date.
I completely agree with you, Chris, that people need to get over the anxiety of approaching girls. It's not really that scary, and it is a numbers game. So hopefully, the people listening and the people that want to join the group will appreciate the advice and join, because we're going to push them forward in all realms of human endeavor. So it's great, and
Indeed.
it's easy, and it is a built skill, which I completely agree with.
Indeed. Well, Steve, we appreciate it, man. That's good stuff. We'll get a couple more questions we're going to get to,
Right.
but thanks for chiming in, man.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Cheers. Cool. There was one more question I wanted to get to really quick. Like Damien said something along the line, should guys not be cold approaching after 30? He said he saw a content creator a while back. The argument is you have worked on yourself enough by 30 that way women approach you instead. I mean, like the women on the planet or the amount of women that are going to approach you, even if you're like that guy, is still pretty low. That's just, I think, sounds like something somebody would say just to get clicks and to like tell you to like, I don't know, just don't do it. Like, it's just one of these, it's retarded. Like it's retarded. That's what it is. There's guys in their 50s that cold approach. Like you can do whatever you want. It's like, should I not use dating apps if I'm above 30, if I'm above 40? Like, what's the cutoff? So this is just somebody trying to be polarizing that doesn't know what they're talking about. I don't know what content creator said that. But the work on yourself never stops. So, and 30 is also, for most guys, just the beginning of when guys are starting to ascend the ladder of the SMV. It's not starting in their 20s usually. It's usually late 20s, early 30s. Men aren't really starting to hit their stride until mid to late 30s to early 40s from what I've seen. So it's like saying, hey, should you stop practicing should you stop working out once you've made it to the big leagues? Like once you make the NFL, once you make the pros, should you stop training? Should you stop working on yourself? You're like, no, you're always pursuing that next level, trying to be better, trying to perfect your craft. You're trying to ascertain, that next level of improvement. So use all the tools in your toolbox. Anybody that says like, don't use dating apps, they're stupid, or don't do cold approach because women should be coming to you, or don't use social circle because of this, that, and the other. I don't like to subscribe to a lot of hard, fast rules. I think that it certainly just depends on you, like what your goals are. And then there's definitely a way to optimize how much you use those three tools, or if maybe dating apps work great for you and you suck at cold approach. You don't have to be great at everything. Find what actually works and just do that.
Yeah, I think a better way to kind of, because like I understand the sentiment, but I think it's kind of displayed weirdly. So like by 30, I think you should have interesting things going on in your life that a woman would want to be part of. So you're not like cold approaching to like get laid or get a date. You're like cold. So like, a lot of guys have a boat, right? Like this is the easiest way to do like big social circle game with women is you have a fucking boat, right? So like I've got a boat, it's in the water in the summer. And like when the boat's in the water, I'm not talking to women about like, do you want to go on a date? I'm like, hey, you should come. Like I'll talk to random women and I'm not interested in like banging them or closing her. And I'm like, hey, do you live near here? Right. And they're like, yeah, why? I'm like, oh, you should come on the boat with your friends. Like we're going out Saturday. Right. So same thing, like after we're out on the boat, like me and my friends that we go out on the water, like we've all got boats out there. Like we'll go to a bar that's, like on the lakes, right? Around the lakes. And we just talk to people. Like you go to the bar, socialize, have fun, meet some people. You'll meet men and women. Like men, maybe you have some, like there's some business connections you make, right? Like maybe you own a plumbing company and like, you live down the street, and they're like, oh yeah, we bought this house and we have this problem with the well, and it's like, oh, I have a plumbing company. We'll come take a look at it. Right. So you meet women like this and you're like, oh, I've never seen you here before. Like, are you from around here? Are you local? And they're like, oh, we just moved here from the city, whatever. Be like, oh, you should come on the boat with us next weekend. Right. That's it. So like, yeah, I think guys like 30 plus should have something or be working towards something that's interesting that women want to do, that you can invite women to do. Because if you're like a 35-year-old dude that's like trolling the grocery store trying to get
Running
laid,
pickup. Yeah.
it's weird. Like it
Sure.
is weird. And women get this vibe too. But if you're like in the grocery store and you see an attractive woman and you just strike up a conversation and you like can naturally invite her to do something women like to do, especially like the least amount of expectations and pressure on her. And it's like, just come, bring your friends, and we'll have fun. Like that's kind of how it should be, I think. So there's something to that where it's like, yeah, if your only way to get laid as a 30-something-year-old man is getting up and going to Jimmy John's and trying to hit on the chick making your sandwich, like you got a big fucking problem.
Yeah, you got bigger problems at that point. But yeah, I buy that, right? Like if you're running game and running pickup just for the sake of it, and if you don't have something, and that's where the whole like fake it till you make it thing I think falls flat, right? Because you've got to have something. You've got like, yes, irrational self-confidence will get you laid faster than literally anything else. But again, that stuff runs out. Like it's rocket fuel. It burns hot and fast, and then it's gone. So yeah, I mean, take that as you will, man. Cool. Yeah. No more callers, no more questions I saw. So I think this is a good time to start wrapping it up. I think this is a good show. Guys, if you have questions, we'd love to have more call-ins. If you jump into the academy, it's like $25 a month. Submit questions there. You'll be able to get access to us more than just once a week. Obviously, the Brotherhood is always an option as well. If you guys haven't seen this, I dropped it yesterday, the first kind of full-length vlog that we did, which was our Tampa MMA meetup back in December. It's an hour long, but it's well worth a watch. If you guys have ever been curious about what our meetups are kind of like, what we're kind of like behind the scenes, the kind of guys that are in the group, the type of stuff that we like doing. This is just one example of the, dozen meetups that we'll have this year. And it's a great time to get in, a great time to join because we still have some spots on some really great meetups. Not a ton, but if you guys are interested, go to the school page. You can just go to my Instagram down here, click the link in my bio to apply and get on a call, and we'll see if it makes sense for you. But love seeing you guys here every week. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate you, liking and subscribing and spreading the word of the channel. Make sure you, like I said, follow us on our socials so you can keep up with what we're doing. We'll see you guys back here next week before we both hit the road out to Colorado for our annual Breckenridge ski trip with the Brotherhood. So all good times and good stuff, man. But anything to send the people off with before we wrap, my friend?
No, I got my if you guys get in the academy, what day is it? Tuesday, today or tomorrow, I've got my monthly call where it's like this, but just me. And it's basically like Q&A, ask whatever you want. Usually I've got a couple topics that I cover, and it's on dating. And we can get like really, really far down the rabbit hole and discuss a lot of stuff that like I'm not going to be talking about on YouTube.
Yep. Yeah, stuff we can't talk about here, and stuff that guys don't want to call in and talk about either way. Stuff that guys may be a little bit ashamed or bashful, maybe not ashamed, but maybe a little bashful to ask about. And some of that stuff can definitely go down the rabbit hole and stuff that we don't have here. So, well, we appreciate it, Steve. Thanks for calling in. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week, same time. Thanks, guys.